What you are seeing here is a document that organizes an extensive interview with William Sascha Riley. The complete document and the full interview are linked in the description and are essential reading for anyone who wants the full picture. Nothing in this summary is presented as proven fact or final conclusion. It exists to preserve what was said in the order it was said, and to clearly separate testimony from interpretation. Names, events, and timelines are included exactly as they appear in the source material, without embellishment, judgment, or narrative framing. The goal is clarity, not persuasion. Many of the details could not be shown or fully discussed here due to platform limits and the explicit nature of the material. Those details matter. They add context, show patterns, and often change how earlier statements are understood. This video is not meant to stand alone. It is meant to orient you, so that when you read the original document for yourself, the connections surface on their own. This document begins with people, because the story itself is built from the lives, suffering, and actions of those involved. Each name is color-coded to guide the reader without bias or assumption. Light pink signifies uncertainty, individuals whose roles remain unclear. Yellow marks those identified as victims, and red designates known or alleged abusers. This structure is not about judgment. It is about orientation. The colors help the reader follow relationships, power dynamics, and patterns of abuse as they unfold chronologically, while keeping testimony separate from interpretation. The following names will appear in Sascha's timeline. William Sascha Riley, who uses they/them pronouns, identifies as a survivor of childhood trafficking and sexual exploitation. They report being born in 1973 under the name Manuel Sascha Burrows, and state they were adopted as a young child by William Kyle Riley and Irene Riley. According to Sascha, the adoption was for exploitation rather than care. They describe being trafficked from early childhood, initially within family networks, and later through organized systems involving third-party facilitators. Sascha states they were forced to participate in approximately 10 to 12 productions of child sexual abuse material, including one described as a snuff film and another in which a girl was killed immediately after filming. They report being told they would not be killed because male victims were considered difficult to replace. In addition to filming, Sascha describes being trafficked to family members and later to a broader network they associate with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Sascha describes frequent dissociation during abuse, characterizing the experience as mentally leaving the situation, a response consistent with documented trauma reactions. They report being heavily drugged at various points and state that large portions of memory are fragmented. Sascha recalls witnessing multiple deaths, including violent assaults that resulted in fatalities. One memory they describe involves individuals dressed as law enforcement, showing them recorded material in which Sascha appeared to be harming another child. Sascha states they have no recollection of committing those acts and believe they were drugged at the time. They describe this as a control mechanism in which victims are abused, then recorded participating in abuse, and later threatened with exposure to prevent disclosure. Samantha Jackson is described by Sascha as a young Black American runaway whom they met after being sent to a brothel. According to Sascha, Samantha explained that girls were told they might be selected as mistresses for wealthy men, but that once it became clear this was false, the girls were often killed. Samantha warned Sascha not to kill anyone for the people running the operation, stating that doing so would permanently entrap them. Sascha reports that Samantha was later tortured by Sascha's adoptive parents, who feared exposure related to child sexual abuse material. Sascha states that while locked together in a storage room, Samantha asked Sascha to kill her to end the torture, and that Sascha complied at her request. William Kyle Riley, Sascha's adoptive father, is described as having adopted Sascha specifically for trafficking purposes. Sascha alleges that Riley worked as a transporter within the network, moving victims and clients using aircraft, and that he acted as an enforcer who silenced victims through intimidation and violence. Sascha also associates Riley with underground fighting circuits, including bare-knuckle and tough man contests, which they believe were connected to elite gatherings. Irene Riley, Riley's first wife and Sascha's initial adoptive mother, divorced him around 1979 or 1980. Sascha states it is unclear whether she directly participated in abuse. Mary Lynn Riley, referred to as Lynn, married William Kyle Riley shortly after the divorce. Sascha describes Lynn as actively abusive and sexually sadistic toward children, and recounts instances in which Lynn expressed enthusiasm about being paid to assault them. Lynn died by suicide in 2018. Paul Riley, William Kyle Riley's father, is described by Sascha as having ties to organized crime through the Dixie Mafia. Patricia is described as a girl Sascha knew through the brothel system, possibly adopted into a trafficking family before running away. Sascha states Patricia was later killed in front of them as a method of psychological coercion. Sarah, another girl from the brothel, is described as having requested assisted suicide due to fear and despair, with Samantha allegedly carrying out the act at Sarah's request. Donald Trump is described by Sascha as an individual who derived gratification from inflicting extreme psychological and physical distress prior to or during sexual assault. Sascha characterizes Trump not as a passive client, but as a central organizer alongside other wealthy individuals. Jeffrey Epstein is described as a logistical coordinator rather than the top authority, responsible for recruitment and management beneath higher-level figures. Jim Jordan is identified by Sascha as having participated in an event where attendees were told that if they could physically restrain Sascha, they could do anything they wanted to them. Sascha alleges Jordan restrained and sexually assaulted them in front of other attendees. Andy Biggs is described as having severely beaten Sascha during later punishment events involving multiple assault stations. Sascha recalls an argument between Biggs and their adoptive father concerning the severity of the beating. Lindsey Graham is mentioned by Sascha as someone who may have been present at some gatherings. Sascha states they are uncertain whether Graham directly assaulted them or whether he was only an attendee. Sascha recalls an instance in which their adoptive father mocked Graham for being gay and was told by others that such remarks were inappropriate because many individuals present at the gatherings were gay or bisexual. Sascha does not claim certainty regarding Graham's role beyond presence. Clarence Thomas is described by Sascha in a similar manner. Sascha states they are unsure whether Thomas participated directly in abuse or was present as an attendee. Thomas stood out in Sascha's memory because he was, according to Sascha, the only black individual they recall seeing at these gatherings. Sascha further recalls that when Thomas was appointed to the Supreme Court, their adoptive father expressed excitement, stating that someone with a lifetime appointment at such a high level of government was now connected to the network, as Sascha understood it at the time. This reflects Sascha's recollection of statements made by their adoptive father, not an assertion of Thomas's actions. Vladimir Putin is referenced by Sascha as a name that was frequently mentioned during gatherings in the 1980s. Sascha recalls hearing discussions about him as a foreign figure of importance, but does not remember Putin ever attending any events in person. Sascha notes that individuals with foreign accents were present at some gatherings and states that not all attendees appeared to be American nationals. Bill Clinton is also mentioned by name in Sascha's account, though Sascha states they never personally saw him at any gatherings and cannot attest to his presence. According to Sascha, the gatherings took place at farms and ranches and typically lasted several days. Sascha describes a consistent physical layout involving a large house and multiple activity areas or stations set up under tents, similar to a fairground arrangement. Sascha reports that these events were highly organized and followed a pattern in which attendance decreased over time while the severity of activities increased. Early stages allegedly included bare-knuckle fighting, drug use, and adult prostitution, with some fights involving children. Sascha states that fighters were paid and that attendees appeared to place bets on outcomes. Sascha recalls the presence of alcohol, drugs, live music, and social interaction. Sascha reports that the nature of each gathering varied depending on who attended and which victims were available. They believe that individuals perceived as more socially reputable were invited during earlier stages to create an appearance of legitimacy, and to establish potential leverage through minor misconduct, such as drug use, infidelity, or gambling. According to Sascha, by the final stages of these events, attendance was reduced to a small number of adult men and a few children. Sascha alleges that during this period, the remaining children were subjected to severe physical and sexual abuse and, in some cases, were killed. Sascha states that these gatherings often coincided with federal holidays or extended weekends. The timeline in this document is critical. It anchors testimony to sequence, allowing patterns of abuse, escalation, and institutional failure to emerge organically. Rather than isolating events, it reveals how they connect, overlap, and intensify over time. This structure transforms fragmented memories into a coherent map, helping readers trace cause, consequence, and complicity across decades. Without the timeline, the scale and coordination behind these accounts would remain obscured. Sascha Riley reports being born in 1973. In 1976, Jeffrey Epstein was dismissed from the Dalton School, an event that later gained relevance due to Epstein's subsequent trajectory. In 1977, Sascha states they were adopted at approximately 4 years old by William Kyle Riley and Irene Riley. That same year, Donald Trump married Ivana Trump and Donald Trump Jr. was born. Sascha reports that the adoption was not for custodial care, but for exploitation, and that by approximately 1978, they were being trafficked to relatives. In 1979 or 1980, Irene Riley divorced William Kyle Riley, who soon married Mary Lynn Riley. Sascha describes this period as the transition from intra-family abuse to more organized trafficking. Between approximately 1978 and 1986, Sascha reports repeated trafficking events involving family members and later a wider network they associate with wealthy individuals. Sascha characterizes Epstein as an operational intermediary rather than the principal authority. They describe gatherings involving adult prostitution, illegal activities, and the exploitation of children, with clearer memories beginning around age 10. Earlier abuses reported beginning around ages 6 to 7, with fragmented recall consistent with early childhood trauma. Sascha places sustained trafficking within this broader network between roughly 1981 and 1987. Sascha alleges a first interaction with Donald Trump around 1981 or 1982 at a rural or barn-like location. They describe acts of animal cruelty performed in front of them and followed by sexual assault, characterizing the violence as preparatory and intentional. Sascha further alleges that, at a later point, a girl named Patricia was killed in their presence prior to another assault. These events are uncorroborated publicly, but are internally positioned by Sascha as part of a deliberate escalation pattern. During the early 1980s, Sascha reports multiple attempts by their adoptive parents to kill them in ways designed to appear accidental. They describe incidents in Texas involving attempted drowning, a fall downstairs resulting in a cracked skull, and a Chevy van incident, each of which they state resulted in police reports. Sascha reports that an ongoing investigation in Texas prompted the family to relocate to Tennessee to avoid further scrutiny. They state they lived in Tennessee for approximately 1 year, and that a school nurse reported visible injuries to Child Protective Services. During this same period, Trump's public life expanded, including the births of Ivanka Trump in 1982 and Eric Trump in 1984, and increased media exposure through programs such as Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Sascha reports that around 1984 or 1985, they were sent to live temporarily at a brothel, possibly in Alabama. They describe a structured system in which adolescent girls were coerced into sexual exploitation under narratives of advancement, while violence and death were used as enforcement and disposal mechanisms. Sascha names 3 girls, Samantha, Patricia, and Sarah, whom they state all later died. They describe killings occurring during filming, retaliation by clients, and intimidation by organized criminal figures. Sascha reports that farms in Tennessee and Alabama were used repeatedly, often during holiday weekends, with participation escalating over several days. Sascha further reports involvement in the production of child sexual abuse material during this period, including at least one incident described as a premeditated snuff film recorded in a controlled setting with lighting and camera equipment. They link later attempts on their life to fear among their adoptive parents following an FBI investigation involving another family connected to similar material. Sascha states the family moved from Tennessee to Alabama around 1984 or 1985. Shortly thereafter, Samantha was allegedly tortured and killed by the adoptive parents in Enterprise, Alabama. Sascha reports being coerced into killing Samantha at her request to end the torture, later filing a police report in Oklahoma decades afterward, admitting to this act. They state that law enforcement and the FBI investigated following neighbor complaints and witness reports, but that no body was recovered. Sascha places additional alleged interactions with Trump and others during this period, including repeated choking and simulated killing, and an incident at a farm gathering where Jim Jordan allegedly assaulted them after physically restraining them. Sascha situates these events amid ongoing CPS involvement, foster placements, and behavioral labeling as ungovernable, which they attribute to trauma. Sascha identifies a final alleged interaction with Trump around 1985 or 1986, when they were approximately 12 or 13. They report that Patricia, whom they knew from earlier trafficking, was tortured and killed in front of them at a farm location, followed by further assault. Sascha reports violently injuring Trump during this encounter in an attempt to survive, after which Trump was allegedly removed for medical treatment. Sascha states that subsequent group assaults were imposed as punishment and debt repayment, involving repeated station-style beatings over several weeks, resulting in broken ribs and severe injuries. After this period, Sascha reports that the trafficking stopped either due to age or because they were deemed too difficult to manage. From the late 1980s forward, Sascha's disclosures begin to intersect more clearly with documented public events. In 1987, Trump published The Art of the Deal. In 1989, Ivana Trump accused Trump of rape, later rescinding the claim in 1993. Sascha reports being hospitalized in a psychiatric facility in 1989, where they first named Donald Trump as an abuser. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Trump's public profile expanded alongside additional allegations of sexual misconduct, including the 1996 𝕽𝖑𝖑𝖎 assault, alleged by E. Jean Carroll. In 2005, Florida law enforcement began investigating Epstein, uncovering dozens of underage victims. Epstein pleaded guilty in 2008. Sascha reports that in 2008 or 2009, while stationed at Fort Carson, military investigators approached them after discovering child sexual abuse material resembling Sascha as a child. Sascha states they confirmed their identity and ages depicted, leading to disciplinary action against another soldier. This represents a point where Sascha's account intersects with an institutional investigation external to their family environment. From 2015 onward, Trump's political ascent accelerated, culminating in his 2016 election, subsequent impeachments, and later civil findings of liability for sexual assault and fraud. Epstein was arrested again in July 2019 and died in custody the following month. Sascha reports that between 2020 and 2021 they filed detailed police reports in Oklahoma, including admissions regarding Samantha's death, and attempted to engage federal authorities without receiving a deposition. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in 2021. Ivana Trump died in 2022. She mysteriously fell down the stairs in her home, causing blunt force trauma to her torso, resulting in her death. While litigation involving Trump remained active, Trump was re-elected in 2024. In July 2025, Roy Black, Epstein's longtime defense attorney, died unexpectedly, coinciding with renewed interviews involving Sascha. As an intelligence document, the relevance of this timeline lies in its internal consistency, escalation logic, and repeated intersections with known investigations, institutions, and individuals later implicated in substantiated misconduct. The document identifies where records would be expected to exist: police reports, CPS files, medical records, military investigations, witness interviews, travel and property records. if any portion of the account were corroborable. The function of this synthesis is not persuasion but preservation of sequence, so that any future review proceeds from structure rather than disbelief. Taken as a whole, this record functions less as an argument than as a preserved structure of testimony laid against time itself. Its weight does not come from certainty, but from pattern, the internal chronology, the escalation logic, and the repeated intersections with institutions, investigations, and figures that later became publicly implicated in abuse, corruption, or concealment. Whether any portion is ultimately corroborated or contested, the document establishes where questions properly belong and where records should exist if the account is ever examined beyond narrative dismissal. It leaves the observer not with a conclusion, but with a map, one that makes clear that disbelief alone is not analysis, and that understanding, if it comes at all, must emerge from evidence aligned to sequence rather than comfort.
They're gonna be sorry they were ever born. Who? All of them.
Swing low like a gold-plated crucifix. Holy heart, hang Christ on a Cuban link. Do it my way, do it my way. Blood in my veins, the Messiah is alive. You can hear her in my swing low like a gold-plated crucifix. Holy heart, hang Christ on a Cuban link. Do it my way, do it my way. Blood in my veins, the Messiah is alive. You can hear her in my. I've been carving with this marble stone, like Michelangelo, since I was like 10 years old. And I was almost at the end of my wits when I saw my truth unfold. I was 25 years old, had that quarter-century glow. Safe and sound, boxing the hound. What you gonna say to me now? Ace with the crown, I stray straight to the ground, cause I miss my life aiming straight for the crown. The higher the climb is the greater the fall. Stiffer the drink is the deeper you sleep, and the more you put in is the more you withdraw, and the more things blur is the clearer I dream. Eye on me like the words of a saint, and nothing kill quicker than the burden of hate. The circle of time is the curve of your faith. It's pretty abstract, but I fuck with the shape. Loch Ness monster horns in a cave, flames of fury in the devil's face. And once you've conquered all that credulous ways, the world ends cause you were 4 minutes late. Going safe and sound, fox in the hell. What you gonna say to me now? Ace with the crown, I stray straight to the ground, cause I miss my life aiming straight for the crown.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.